Hi, my name is CaseyJane from Wiggling Scholars. I've been talking with some other Teachers Pay Teachers sellers who use a Mac computer to do all of their creating, and most of them are creating within PowerPoint as their design program. But they're having a hard time hyperlinking their PDFs that they upload to Teachers Pay Teachers for their final products. I want to just say this is how I get around it. I'm sure it's not the best or only way. In the older operating system, you could use an hyperlink right inside of Preview. That's a feature that doesn't quite exist anymore. And I do know that some people get around this by using Adobe Pro and they hyperlink right there. If you design in Keynote, as you'll see later, it's a feature right inside of Keynote, so maybe it's worth making the transition, but I'm still designing in PowerPoint, and this is how I get around it. It's clunky, it's not the best, but once you do it a few times, you can get to be pretty quick at it. And I'm sure, like I said, it's not the only or best way, so if you have tips or ideas, please comment. So to get started, I've got my product fully created right inside of PowerPoint. I've got my cover and everything. I just do the whole thing right in one file. And the last page is always my links page. So these are the clip artists and font makers that I have used in this product over here on the right. And then on the left here, those are all of my store links. So Facebook and Blog Loving right there. And they're already linked. If you're not sure how to link, you can click on the little graphic there and click hyperlink. You're going to go over to their website. I usually use their Teachers Pay Teachers one, or most, according to whatever their terms of use are. And then you're just going to paste that right there and click OK. So now all of these things are linked. Make sure that you're saving your document. Then you're going to click Save As. And you're going to save these all as PNGs in order to flatten the graphics, so that way when your customers buy your product and download it, they can't nab any of these delicious clip arts that our clip artists have made. So you're going to save it as PNG. I always do on the end here, I save the file with PNG at the end so I can easily identify it. And PowerPoint is auto going to create for you a folder that has all of this stuff in it. Now you're done using PowerPoint, you can just close right out of there and you should be good. Go ahead and open up the folder and open up everything except for the pages that you want to hyperlink. For this case, it's everything except for the last page. Right click and open with Preview. So now I've got all of these pages in Preview except for my hyperlink page. I'm going to select all of them and adjust the size from the Tools menu, because when your people are printing this out, it's going to be too big for a piece of paper. So of course you want 8.5 by 11. And I always increase the resolution just to make the printout a little bit of a higher quality. So now they're all still selected over here, and I'm going to click Export Selected Images. You have to make sure that they're all selected, otherwise it'll only print out those specific image that you have selected. And please don't export as a PDF. It doesn't work the same. I've tried it. So you're exporting selected images, and you're going to go down here and save them in the format as PDF. Okay, and I'm just going to save them all to my desktop so I know where they're at. And I'm going to close out of Preview. So now I've got, these are all of the PDFs that I just generated. We'll get back to those in a minute. I'm going to right click on my PowerPoint. I'm not opening it. I'm just going to open it in Keynote. And so the reason why I don't just put all of my PowerPoint product through Keynote and export it there directly is for two reasons. One, because if I design in PowerPoint, some of the fonts and graphics will shift a little. And when I'm, creating something, I want it to be precisely where I left it, as well as Keynote doesn't really flatten all of your images. And again, we don't want anybody to be able to nab those graphics. So this is the whole product, but I don't need all of these other pages here. So I'm going to just go ahead and delete all of those. So all that I'm left with is just this one slide. Now all of these things I linked in PowerPoint, and you can see here that they've got right there their link. So if I were to click on that, it would go straight to it. If you want to double check any of those, you can just click on it once and it'll show you here exactly what the link is. And if you want it to link to a different slide in the file, but that doesn't apply because we're not using Keynote, or to an email address, those features are available, but for your purposes, you're probably just going to choose a website. So now that all of these things are linked, all I need to do, so literally open it, check to make sure that things are where I want it, like this little part here, I want to scooch that up so that way the font isn't getting hidden by the graphic there. Again, that's the shifting, and I do want to scooch these two up a tiny bit as well so they're not so crowded. So it's those little kinds of things that I want to avoid just doing my PowerPoint straight through Keynote. So now that I've got it the way I want it, I'm going to go to File and Export to PDF. It's going to ask me, I've got some features here, but it's going to ask me the image quality, and I always choose best and click next. And I'm going to choose to add links in caps so that way it's easy for me to find when I'm going to go ahead and put my PDFs together. So I'm going to export. Now that's saved as a PDF, but I do also want to still save this in Keynote in case I want to be able to come back to it. And I do know that the file name has key right there, but I always just do this just to make it easy for myself. And now you're done in Keynote. So this one I'm not going to need to come back to because that's just in Keynote. I'm just going to save that in a file with everything later. So these pages are the actual pages from my PowerPoint. The first 4 went through the PNG process to flatten them and then turn them into a PDF. And this final one here is the links page that went through Keynote. I'm going to duplicate just the first slide of all of those, and I'm going to rename it the final name that I want. So March Book Bingo by Wiggling Scholars. And this is where everything is going to go. So go ahead and click that guy. It's going to open up in preview. Now I'm going to take all of the rest of these and I'm just going to drag and drop right on top of that slide. You may have to do some slide adjusting here and there, but you're going to want to make sure that you don't have a gray line in between. So if I do this, do you see how the gray line is between the slides? That's going to create 2 separate files and you don't want that. So you're going to have that. You can go through and check to make sure that everything is exactly the way you want it, and then just close. You don't even have to save this. This is automatically saved for you, and so now this is my PowerPoint converted into a PDF using both Preview and Keynote. And if I go ahead and open it for you, this is exactly what your customers are going to download. So I can see that everything is the same size. And then also if I click on one of these things, you see how the little hand appears on top of the graphic, and to the side it's just your cursor. That's going to show you that those are all linked. So if you click there, it's automatically going to open up to the website. I hope that helps. If you have any other tips or comments or anything, please comment. I'd love to hear what other people use. Thanks.